Hi guys, we're live. I think we finally made it. I really apologize to everyone who was watching from the link that we shared with you, but it didn't look like it worked. So again, guys, yep, I am live. All right. Again, my apologies. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. I am Michelle Jones, and I am coming to you guys very late on a Sunday because we've just had such horrible tech difficulties. And anyway, thank you for joining me. Thank you for your patience. And for those of you that are watching this on replay, please do click hashtag replay. Let me just, I'm not going to touch anything. It's finally working. So apologies for the fuzzy background, not wanting to do anything else. I have been I have been trying to go live for the last almost 20 minutes. And again, my apologies. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are joining me from. I am Michelle Jones, a sustainable business and well-being strategist coming live to you from my home here in Fiji. So it is a very rainy, dark day here in Fiji in the tropics in paradise. It is a very wet day. So we are going to do a little bit of tweaking of our agenda for today, but today is the second episode of Herbalism from my Fiji home. We weren't able to come in on our scheduled live, which was yesterday, the 28th of February. Everything that can happen and get so busy and difficult to maneuver happened yesterday. And today was proving to be a little bit more challenging as well, but I am here. We've pushed through, and that's just, what happens in life, right? Life throws you all sorts of difficulties. There we go. I am on my own background. And we just have to push through. We have to keep going. We have to make things work. And that's what I'm doing here right now on a Sunday, nonetheless. Okay. So today, as I mentioned, we are going to be talking about the beautiful hibiscus plant. It is a beautiful flower. In the Philippines, we call that gumamela. So for those of you that don't know that gumamela is hibiscus, it is one and the same. Here in Fiji, many people call it different names. It can be called hibiscus. It can be called vow. They have slight differences, and we're going to be talking about those today. But unfortunately, we're going to have to do this in 2 episodes because of a very rainy day. Fun fact, new fact, hibiscus flowers don't bloom on dark days and on rainy days. If the rain is not quite as heavy and we have full sun, the hibiscus flower blooms and comes to life. When it's dark, like it is today in Fiji, it does not flower. So to be able to actually show you guys how the hibiscus works, to make it a true hands-on workshop, we need the hibiscus flowers. I need to be able to show it to you. So we're going to do the actual workshop on a different day. I can't promise that it's going to be tomorrow, but it'll be on my first sunny day because we have had a forecast that we're going to be having rains in the next few days. Actually, let me just look at what it says right now. We have had warnings for really heavy rains and even possible cyclones. And it is saying that we will just have rain all the way till Wednesday. We might have a sunny day. We might have an opportunity on Thursday, depending on whether or not the sun comes out on that day. Otherwise, it might be over the weekend that we will be doing the workshop. But when it happens, I am going to do it. I am going to record it. We will try and do it live so that anyone who's online and watching will see it. Hopefully, if it's sunny in the morning, I can actually make an advance announcement so you guys can see it and know exactly when we're going to be jumping in. But again, apologies just because I chose a plant that actually is dependent on the weather, which I don't know in hindsight. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but we're going to try. We have not spoken about the gumamela before. We have done so in passing, but not fully getting into what that plant does. And I really want to do that because it's a plant that you see in a lot of countries. It's a plant that I love. I just love that gumamela flower. And when I was younger, I actually didn't know all the amazing benefits that this plant could do. The first time I ever found out about it was when I was in Bali. And that was, oh my gosh, how many years ago was that? I can't even remember, maybe 6 years ago or 7 years ago that I actually found out about all the things that that plant did. But I didn't have that in my home because remember, when I was living in Indonesia, we were living in an apartment and my plants were plants that I could actually have on my balcony. And that just wasn't one of them. Here in my home in Fiji, I've got it. So I wanted to share that with you. Definitely does not grow in Canberra. So when we were back in Canberra, I couldn't share that with you either. So anyway, we are here now, and I'm so excited to show you and talk to you about the hibiscus, the amazing hibiscus plant. All right, let me share my video with you so we can get started. All right, I think you are seeing that. All right, I hope so. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky. Actually, I can take a peek and just make sure that you are seeing that. If anyone's watching this, I kind of lost I kind of can't see where my Zoom is. Where'd you go? Everything moved around. All right, guys, I am just going to do it quickly on my phone to see whether or not you can see me and my presentation at the same time. Let's see this. Here we go. At the same time. Oh my goodness. I have couple with Michelle on here and I don't know why. So actually, I wonder if this will make a difference if I actually minimize. Whoops, can I minimize you? Whoop. When you've got a lot of screen open, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. Here we go. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Okay, let me just do this right and breathe and change my banner. If I can see it. No, maybe this. Oh no, maybe I can't. Oh no, I can't. All right, I apologize, guys. It's Couple with Michelle. So if you've got your cup of coffee, cup of tea, grab it, and we're gonna get started. Okay, so let us do that once again. And got it. And let's make this full screen so we don't have any problems. Okay, well, now I know that that's working. Again, we are going to be talking about the amazing hibiscus and the difference between the vow and the garden hibiscus. Okay, so there are so many different hibiscus varieties, and we're going to be talking about all of them today so that you guys can start seeing. So I'm just moving things around a little bit so I can see you guys well. All right, cool. Cool bananas, as they say. All right. Oops. Okay. All right, I think we should be okay. We're seeing everything and we are good. Okay, guys. So as I mentioned, hibiscus has a lot of different varieties. Today, we're going to be focusing on the discussion of what three of those varieties have in common, what the differences are, and what we can do with the hibiscus. So let me ask you a question. Who among you here watching live or replay have ever grown hibiscus in their garden, or who actually have hibiscus in their garden? Let me know. Or gumamela, guys. If you're from the Philippines, do you have gumamela? And if you are here in Fiji, do you have the hibiscus plant? Do you remember what it's called? Vow. Okay? Let me know. Put it in the comments and say, I've got hibiscus. Okay? The other question is, who among you actually knew that this beautiful plant, the beautiful flowers that you see, are actually not just ornamental, but have been used for a very long time in traditional medicine, for health, for well-being. Okay, so today we're going to explore hair, skin, cooling, women's energetics, safe, responsible herbal use of the hibiscus, and safe is like the key word here. We will not be talking about or not showing, at the very least, the more difficult or tricky medicinal use of the product, because we need to be very careful how we are sharing it with everyone. But before we go further, if this kind of practical herbalism actually excites you, if this is your thing, please like this video. Share it with someone, family, friend who has a hibiscus plant in their yard, and invite them to join us live. Also, because herbal knowledge becomes stronger when you share it, please do share on your social media page as well. So I want to be able to impact people plant by plant. That's why we're going to be talking about different plants every time we go live. Because you know what? Humans have built an amazing body of wisdom around these amazing plants, which aren't just like, new plants. These aren't modern plants. These aren't even modern medicine. It predates modern medicine. It is something that our ancestors have passed on through the generations, and shown their children and their grandchildren and the community how to use it. Okay, long before labs came out, before pharmaceuticals came out, before textbooks even came out. Okay, there were mothers, healers, midwives, village elders who were already observing, listening, writing, testing, passing the knowledge down through stories and experience. So let's do the same. Let's share this video to others who can actually benefit from it and take notes. Okay. Also, if you don't like to take notes, if you put down on the comment section, I'd like a copy, and I will know what that means. When you say I'd like a copy, I will send you a copy of the information that I'll be sharing with you here today. Okay. All right. If you have been someone that's been listening to my lives, who've been following me, especially through my travels, you will know that I have loved sharing about different plants. And even if I was back in Australia sharing about yarrow, or in Indonesia sharing about aloe vera, or in PNG sharing about mangoes and the other herbs that we have there, cannot remember up the top of my head what the others were, you'll find that a lot of them have similar plants where you are. You'll find that these herbs that actually grow here in Fiji are also herbs that grow in other places. Now, they might not be exactly where you are. Like, for example, there are medicinal herbs here that look like ferns, and I forgot what the others are called, but they are plants that look very much like the plants and are the same family of the ferns and the plants that grow in cairns, for example. Why? Because they have similar weather. So it may not be in Canberra because, well, Canberra is very cold or very hot, never humid, never rainy, but it will be in your country, in your general area. So it's always very helpful to actually just get the information you need so that when you go around and when you travel and you get to see these plants, you have been introduced to them through my stories, through my lives, and you will be able to know how to use them. Okay. So whether it is to stop bleeding with yarrow, or to treat influenza with garlic, or treat bee stings with plantain, I hope that you will find the information about herbs through my lives, through my stories, through our courses, through our modules. And as we share all these things as well with other people, then we share the knowledge, this amazing knowledge that a lot of people have already forgotten. So let's try and send off and share all these stories, all these lives that I'll be sharing in the next few months that I'm here in Fiji, because we're only here until December. Every month from January till December, I will have a plant that is in Fiji, that I've come across in Fiji, that I will be sharing with all of you. And I promise you guys, you will see those same plants where you are, or near where you are at the very least. Okay. So that's not about me being overly confident. That is just how herbs work. That is just my relationship with these herbs. I know, I've seen them, and I've traveled many different countries, and I'd like to be able to share that information with you. Okay. As described in the Herbalist's Way, our genes recognize plant phytochemicals. There is a biological memory between humans and plants. And that's also why I usually say where they're needed, these plants just appear. This isn't superstition, it's pattern recognition across cultures. David Hoffman, if you guys have heard of him, is the author of a book called Medical Herbalism. He emphasizes that multiple traditional systems independently identify similar uses for a plant herbalists, similar uses for a plant that herbalists have been known to pay attention to in the different countries. Okay? It's just the way of the herbs. I think there's no other way to say it. Okay? So let me share that, all of that with you. And let's talk hibiscus. Hibiscus, if you guys don't know, has also been used in Ayurveda. Hibiscus is a cooling plant. It's called Shita. It's pitta reducing, meaning it lowers excess heat. It is supportive for excessive heat conditions, and it's traditionally used as a hair and scalp tonic. Amazing, right? That's actually going to be seen in our workshops, which I'm going to be sharing with you. I will still share some of the information about them, but the actual workshop, again, as I said, will happen next week. And what do we do here in Fiji with hibiscus, and how do they use it here? I'm going to share that. Okay, so, whoops, let's keep going. Hibiscus is found everywhere in Fiji. There are two kinds of hibiscus you'll see growing here. You'll see the traditional Fijian hibiscus, and that's the yellow flower. Oops, that one and that one that you see here. That's the local Fijian hibiscus, which grows naturally along coasts and in villages. The garden hibiscus, which are these ones here that I've taken photos of, come in various different amazing colors. And this was introduced to Fiji. Now, this variety is called Hibiscus rosa sinensis. Okay, while the Fijian hibiscus, these ones here, are actually known as Hibiscus tiliaceus. Okay, Both of these varieties have been used in traditional medicine across the Pacific. Each one carries its own story, its own energetics, and its own practical uses. Today, we're focusing on mainly the garden hibiscus because that's what I've got here in my garden. But I will still be talking about the vow, okay, and another variety which you will find out shortly. But first, let me actually share with you what hibiscus means here in Fiji. After all, this is everyday herbalism from my Fiji home. In Fiji, the hibiscus is a very important flower. In fact, there is a festival here called the Hibiscus Festival. It has long been a vibrant symbol of community, culture, celebration. It began back in 1956 as a modest local event in Suva and quickly grew into a beloved week-long festival celebrated annually. So here in Suva, it is celebrated near, uh, right in town, by the water, and they have stalls, food, rides. It's like a fete. It's a little bit like a big school fete, but just with all the amazing colors and all the amazing celebration and music, Fijian music and food. Let's not forget the food. Okay. It also is the time when they have the much anticipated Miss Hibiscus pageant. Okay. And this honors the beauty, talent, and grace of young Fijian women from throughout the different islands of Fiji. So it's more than just a celebration, it's more than just entertainment and festivities. It is actually historically been a platform for unity, community spirit, and it's a place and time where they showcase diverse cultures and traditions, and local artists, youth, and businesses come together to celebrate, what this flower has come to represent in Fijian life. So again, it's not just hibiscus. It's a really important flower here in Fiji. So here's something important. Even culturally, hibiscus isn't just a pretty flower. It actually carries identity, pride, connection, and empowerment. Amazing, right? So see, that's why I chose that. But anyway, back to the plant and back to herbalism. Though they're the same genus, the vow and the garden hibiscus are different species. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, there's something like 300 different species of hibiscus. The old growth vow, which you might see along coasts, have broader, softer, heart-shaped leaves and a different flower form. In herbal systems, here and across the Pacific, vow has been applied traditionally in poultices and washes for inflammations, burns, skin issues. A lot of which, obviously, as I've just said, are all external uses of the plant. By contrast, the garden hibiscus or the Hibiscus rosa sinensis has larger and showier flowers. They're more grand, they're more glossy. The leaves are also glossier, and they thrive right in our tropical gardens with very, very little care. Mine has just multiplied and grown down there with, again, very little care. But mind you, here in Fiji, we have a lot of rain, so don't really have to water. But despite the amount of rain, they are one of the amazing plants that grow and doesn't mind too much rain. Okay. So both types are really meaningful. Both types are really amazing. They have their um, they both have their strengths, so to speak. Okay, they both reflect an important herbal principle. I want you to remember, what thrives in your environment often supports your physiology in that environment. I'm going to say that again, and this is something that I always share to people. What thrives or shows up in your environment, that's another word to use, often supports your physiology in that environment, supports what you need in that environment. Okay. If you live in a hot climate, you'll find cooling herbs. If you live in a humid environment, you'll find plants rich in mucilage that soothe and protect. Strong sun, you find plants that support the skin, right? Because strong sun hurts our skin. And it also usually supports the body's resilience. So that's not random. That's just a pattern that has emerged across cultures that different herbalists and healers have discovered across different countries for centuries. This principle is part of why hibiscus is one plant, one form. The hibiscus is one plant that has found traditional medicinal use in systems thousands of miles apart from the Pacific island to India and beyond. Okay? And this is also why researchers later found biological activity, okay, in extracts of hibiscus, including hormonal activity use and reproductive physiology use. How good is that? Okay. So are you finding this amazing? I mean, again, when I first saw the gumamela or the hibiscus, I just wanted it in my garden because it was beautiful. It was one of those that I said initially, oh, I just want that because, it's a good exception of a plant to have in my garden because of how beautiful the flowers were. Later on, I definitely needed it because of the medicinal properties it had as well. Okay. So now that we've talked about the story, the cultural roots of hibiscus, let's talk about what this plant is actually doing in the body. Okay. Herbalism isn't magic. It's chemistry, it's biology, it's plant intelligence meeting human biology. Okay. It's how these plants work and interact with our body. So one of the first things that I said earlier was that in humid environments, plants that have mucilage properties appear, and hibiscus is one of them. That's one of the primary actions of hibiscus, mucilage content. That word is just a fancy word which means an amazing plant intelligence that provides you a slippery gel-like quality. You can feel that when you crush the leaves of the plant or the petal. It's slimy, it's slippery. It's not very thick like the other mucilages, but it's slippery and slimy. So it's like silicone. It coats, and that's what it does. That texture, that's the medicine of the plant. You see, mucilage actually soothes tissue. And as I said, it coats, it creates a protective layer or protective barrier. It reduces irritation. When you apply hibiscus to the skin, you're applying a plant designed protective barrier. When you use it on your scalp, you have a calming solution, right? Because you don't put the flower there. I'll show you how to use it. But you put a calming solution that actually can calm down inflammation, rashes, redness that happens. When you make a warm infusion, when you make it into a tea, you're actually extracting those soothing compounds into the water. In a hot, humid climate like ours, that protective moistening quality is incredibly supportive. Okay? Before I go ahead, just a disclaimer, we are not going to be doing a lot of the tea preparations with hibiscus. And I don't want you to just go ahead and grasp on to single words that I actually say here. I want you to listen to the entirety of this presentation because I'm going to talk about the properties of hibiscus that might be might need special attention. There is some toxicity to the plant, and you need to understand what it is. Okay? All right. The second property of hibiscus is women. Listen to this. Okay? It has natural plant acids, mild AHAs. Hibiscus contains what we call natural plant acids, what the skin world calls mild AHAs. A lot of women spend money to get procedures done on their face so that they can have mild AHAs put on their face. You know why? Those things actually do gentle exfoliation of the skin. Sounds familiar? Skin brightening, surface renewal. You don't need expensive products to actually do that to your face. You just need hibiscus. You just need gumamela. Can you believe that? But here's a difference between a plant and a synthetic chemical peel. Hibiscus does not strip. It encourages renewal gently. That's what I love about using plants, that amazing plant wisdom. The plant has innate wisdom in how it heals the body, in how it heals our skin, in how it actually supports us. Okay? Third, another key property of the hibiscus is its antioxidant properties. Hibiscus is rich in antioxidant compounds. It helps protect the skin from environmental stress, the heat, sunburn. Okay, it's a little bit like aloe vera in that sense. It reduces oxidative damage. It supports anti-inflammatory processes. In simple terms, this plant, the hibiscus, supports resilience. Resilience is something we deeply need, especially in tropical climates where the sun, the humidity, the heat constantly challenge the skin. Now, all hibiscus plants belong to the same botanical family, so they share certain characteristics, like the mucilage, the antioxidant compounds. However, the strength and expression of those properties vary by species. So as I said earlier, there are over 300 species of hibiscus around the world. But not all hibiscus are used the same way. Some are ornamental, some are culinary, some are medicinal, some are fiber plants. Same genus, different expressions. And that's why it's really important when you use the gumamela and the hibiscus, you know exactly what you're using. Okay, so there's three that we're going to be talking about here. We're going to be talking about the Hibiscus subdarifa, okay, or the roselle. This is a more acidic and widely studied internally. It usually is that really bright red hibiscus flower. Okay, usually. The second is the Hibiscus rosa sinensis, which is your garden hibiscus. It is milder and often used externally. The vow, the Fijian hibiscus, or it's called Hibiscus tiliaceus, is strongly soothing and traditionally applied topically. So same botanical family, different expressions, different levels of research as well. Now, I just want to pause for a moment to address something many of you may be wondering. Can we make tea from all these hibiscus varieties? Because I mentioned infusion and tea earlier. Most commercial hibiscus teas are the deep red tart ones used for blood pressure and antioxidant support. Most of these are the Hibiscus subdarifa, okay, or the roselle. That is the well-studied tea species. The garden hibiscus, which is the Hibiscus rosa sinensis, has been traditionally used internally in some cultures, especially for menstrual regulation and reproductive purposes. But interestingly, modern research has identified anti-estrogenic activity in certain concentrated extracts of this particular garden hibiscus plant. Now, that does not mean a mild preparation is automatically dangerous, but it does mean this plant has biological activity, and it is not just decorative, it is a potent plant. So you need to be careful. When a plant has measurable hormonal effects, we approach it with respect. Okay? We approach it with awe, but with great respect and with care. The vow, which is the Fijian hibiscus, is traditionally described in text as being used externally, particularly for washes, for soothing, for poultices. Okay? Because because we're in Fiji, we must honor our indigenous hibiscus, the vow. And because of that, the workshops that we will be showing here are the use of the hibiscus topically. We're not going to be doing any internal uses of the hibiscus in this episode. Okay? So we're going to be talking about how vow is used traditionally across the Pacific as leaf poultices for swelling. It is used to soothe inflamed skin. It's used to wash sores. It's used as a protective application for irritated tissue. Okay, its bark here in Fiji was even used for cordage or rope and weaving. Okay, but this is the vow. This is not the garden hibiscus. So it tells us something really important about the vow. Its fiber strength and cultural importance is unique. Okay, and again, a species that we need to give our utmost respect. It also tells us again and reminds us, and this is something that you're going to see all throughout this episode, that different species, although they're from the same family, different environments that they grow in, even if they're the same plant, will have similar plant intelligence patterns, but in terms of intensities, it will always be different. They will all be cooling, they're all protective, they all support the skin and tissues. That is the botanical consistency of the hibiscus. So in today's class, I am focusing primarily on external applications so that we can't make a mistake. You grab any hibiscus, we will be okay to use it externally for the hair, the scalp, the skin. And because this is where both Rosa sinensis or the garden hibiscus and the vow actually shine beautifully and safely in everyday herbal practice, I would rather focus on that so that we don't make a mistake with people trying to do the workshops and getting it wrong. Okay, so if you want a well-studied traditional consumption or use for hibiscus in terms of tea and infusion, those are things that I actually cover in the modules, in the courses, in our well-being foundation, but we don't do that in our lives. Okay, so if you're interested in those, please DM well-being foundation and I will send you the link to our well-being foundation, and you can actually check out our modules and our courses there. Okay, and again, it's really amazing to share this information, and I know a lot of you are quite excited to know that plants that grow in your garden, these beautiful flowers, can be used medicinally, but please use discernment when it comes to using them. Be very careful. Take note of the cautions that I'll be giving you throughout this episode and in the next episodes for the different plants. Okay? All right. So now we move from knowledge into practice. Because herbalism becomes powerful when you touch it, smell it, prepare it, and observe it, we're going to be talking about hibiscus as a hair rinse. We're not going to be doing this right now. I'll be sharing with you guys the materials that we need to actually make this happen so that you can have it ready for when we do it. I am also, as I said, going to announce when we can actually go on live with it. I could probably say let's go for Thursday, and if it doesn't happen on Thursday, we'll target Saturday, so you guys can kind of be be able to prepare. But I should be able to let you know in the morning of those days if it will happen. Okay, just so that we've got a target. Okay, so um, materials that you need: fresh hibiscus flowers, fresh hibiscus leaves, um, just boiling waters. Well, you'll have to boil it, but we'll just be using warm water, a bowl, and a strainer. Okay, so this is not, you don't need a laboratory, you don't need chemicals, there are no synthetic fragrances, there are no like complicated steps to follow. There's only easy step-by-step processes that I'll be sharing with you. In fact, I've already put the process there, but please let's do it together just so that there are no mistakes. Okay, let me just go through all this. I think just before I go ahead, because you're already seeing some of the materials there and procedures, I just need to remind everyone, we need to be safe. We need to be careful when and responsible when we actually do the workshops, when we experiment with herbs, because herbalism is very empowering. But empowerment must always be paired with responsibility. Okay, plants are gentle in general, but plants are also biologically active. That means that when we use them with awareness, when we use them carefully, when we apply plant preparations on our skin or take them internally, we need to actually practice caution. Okay, so with plant preparations, especially for this hibiscus, because we will be putting them on our skin, we will be doing a patch test. If you want to do anything ahead because you're excited, you've got the garden hibiscus in your garden, get a flower or a leaf, crush it, feel it. You'll feel that that silky substance, which is the mucilage of the plant. Put it maybe on your arm. Some people put it here, others put it on their wrist, just to see what how your skin will react to it. Is it going to be itchy? Is it going to turn red? Are you going to have a reaction to it? Test it so that when we actually do the workshop on Thursday or Saturday, depending on when the sun comes out in this country, in this city, then you'll be ready. Okay. The other thing that I would like you to do is don't remove it for 24 hours. That's the best way to actually check it. Don't just have it there for like 10 minutes and then wash it off. Just leave it for 24 hours. See how it is. You don't need to put a lot. You know, that's why it's a patch test. You just put a little bit there and just see. It's always better to be cautious about these things, because even if it's just a plant, again, it's got its biological and chemical what you call it constituents. There you go. That's the word that we need to be careful of. Okay, so some people have extremely sensitive skin, so you might react. If you do, I do have a very sensitive skin. I actually am very careful with a lot of creams and stuff that I put on my skin, because I react to them very easily. And so when I do, it's always here on my hands first. Okay, my wrist is usually where I test it. Again, others just test it here, but others on the wrist. Again, just because they're natural does not mean everyone will react the same way and will be okay with it. So best to be sure. Also, guys, if you're gonna get your hibiscus, make sure it's not from a busy road. So if you've got your hibiscus right outside and yours is a busy road and you want to use them, just make sure that you actually soak them first, wash them in clean water before you test them. Okay, I would wash, dry, pat dry, crush, get that silky substance, and put it on your skin. Okay, all right. Um, yeah, avoid roadside plants because they're exposed to pollution. If you have homes that are regularly sprayed with chemicals and pesticides, try to avoid the ones that are sprayed, or again, wash them. Okay, always wash them. We get, I think it's once a month that um, we get chemical sprays happening outside in our garden because of all the insects and mosquitoes in this country. And so to avoid us from getting sick from those, this is one of those things that usually is done. And I don't worry much because it rains a lot in this place, so all those things are actually washed out. But I still, if I'm not certain, soak my plants in my Kangen water. You can use 9.5 or even 11.5, but don't soak it in 11.5 too long. We don't want to get rid of all its constituents before we use it. Okay, sometimes 11.5 has a tendency of doing that. We don't want that. We just want the chemicals out, right? So I would put it on, I'd soak it in 11.5 maybe for about 2 to 3 minutes, not longer, or I'd soak it in 9.5 and I'd soak it for about 5 minutes in 9.5. Okay, remember, we are working with living material. Okay, so clean source is important because you're going to be putting it on your skin. Your skin absorbs everything. So make sure it's clean products that you actually put on your skin. Water-based herbal infusions are fresh preparations. They are not shelf stable. We will be talking about refrigerating some of the preparations, but they have to be used within 2 to 3 days. So you don't need a huge amount of flowers and leaves for this exercise. I will personally also only use 1 flower per thing that we're going to be creating. So we're going to be creating a hair rinse. We're going to be talking about soap. You can prepare the soap. We are going to be preparing it's like a toner for the skin, and we're going to be talking about how you prepare them for inflammations, sunburns, and stuff like that. Okay, so there's 3 preparations you can make. I will only have about 2 flowers. Okay, because remember, the garden hibiscus are quite big, so we don't need a lot. And just see how much of that you prepare and how long it'll take you to actually use it. And then later on, when you create something for yourself again after our workshop, then you can create a bigger amount depending on how quickly you use those. Okay, remember, fresh for this thing is important. Freshness is important. We're not going to be putting alcohol in it to actually preserve it for longer because of the way we're going to be using them. Okay, all right, cool. Again, just a reminder, I've mentioned it earlier, not all hibiscus species are interchangeable. We are going to be using the garden hibiscus. You can get the Roselle. You can get the Vow if you're here in Fiji. So any of those 3 varieties are good for our workshops. Okay? So if you're not sure, send me a photo of your hibiscus plant. Send me a DM, and then I can help you out with that one. Okay, discernment matters. Unless properly trained, we focus on safe external applications, and so we are safer no matter which hibiscus technically it is. But just to be on the safe side, send me a photo. Okay, I want to make sure that you really are getting hibiscus. So another important thing to actually remind everyone, herbal preparations do not replace, please, really important disclaimer here, herbal preparations do not replace medical care. If you have open wounds, active infections, if you have severe scalp conditions, hormonal disorders, if you're pregnant, please consult a qualified healthcare professional before you use any of the products or any of the solutions we will be talking about in our workshop. Herbalism complements, it does not compete with responsible medicine. Okay? Responsible herbalism means you prepare intentionally, you use mindfully, we waste nothing, and we don't overclaim. Okay? So we honor both the plant and the body. Therefore, balance is really, really important. We have to make sure that herbalism is sustainable. Okay? Let's not be reckless. We need to be observant, and we need to actually create that relationship with plants and create that respect for plants as well. Okay? So that's my disclaimer. Now that we've talked about a little bit of the chemistry of the plants, we've talked about the disclaimers, let's talk about energetics. Herbalism is not just about compounds, it's about patterns. It's about how plant expresses itself in the body. In many traditional systems, Ayurveda especially, hibiscus is described as cooling, moistening, softening, pitta reducing. And where do we live? What do we live in here in Fiji? We live in heat. And that's why hibiscus thrives here a lot. Heat in the climate, heat on the skin, heat in the nervous system, and sometimes heat in the body. In women, excess heat can show up as irritability, skin flare ups, heavy or uncomfortable menstrual cycles, inflammation, restlessness. When you experience any of these, cooling plants help soften the internal fire. They don't suppress, they balance. Okay? So there's something else. Hibiscus has long been associated with women here in Fiji. In Fiji, the vow is culturally linked to feminine strength and beauty. The annual Hibiscus Festival that I shared with you earlier celebrates the community, the resilience, especially womanhood. And that's why we have the Miss Hibiscus happening during the Hibiscus Festival. Across cultures, red and pink flowers have symbolized heat, energy, reproductive vitality, emotional softness, creative force. And remember, earlier we mentioned that the Rosa sinensis or the roselle have shown anti-estrogenic activity in laboratory studies. That tells us something important, that this plant, the hibiscus, interacts with our hormonal system, which means, again, this plant is not weak. It is not just decorative, it is biologically intelligent. Okay? So, again, energetically, the hibiscus have the qualities many women need, especially in tropical high-stress environments. So remember the principle we've repeated today. What thrives in your environment often supports your physiology in that environment. So if hibiscus thrives where you are, use it, because that's why it's thriving there, because it is there for you, especially if you're a woman. I just realized that men might be watching this. Hibiscus is still great for you guys, but again, hibiscus is just symbolizes a woman. Okay, I'm not saying that it's not that men can't use it. Men can obviously use it. Men can use it for their skin, for their scalp, the same way as women do. But just to understand the energetics of the herb, the hibiscus is described as a female herb. Okay. Cooling, which I've mentioned so often here, does not mean it's unlimited cooling. Okay. Balancing is something that a lot of our herbs do to our body. But balancing is also something that you have to do. It means you don't just self prescribe and go, oh, yeah, I'll just keep using this every day. No, use it as you need it. In cooler months, in cooler times, you don't need it, because remember, it is cooling. So in cooler times, you need warmer plants or plants that have heat in them. Again, this is for warm places, hot places, or humid places. That's the amazing benefit or use or best use for the hibiscus. So today's discussion on the hibiscus should remind you that hibiscus is not just a flower. Hibiscus in itself is botany, it's chemistry, it's cultural, it's climate, because hibiscus is a cooling plant. Okay. Feminine resilience is expressed in petals. And when we start seeing plants this way, we start realizing the relationship that plants have with us. Okay. So, guys, again, to prepare yourselves for our workshops, I'm going to go back to this slide here. Make sure you have this ones in your garden. Hibiscus flowers, hibiscus leaves are what we're going to be using. Ideally, don't harvest them until you see my note. I will send the advice on YouTube and all my platforms on the morning of Thursday or on the morning of Saturday. And I will let you know. So I will send it definitely on Thursday morning to say whether or not we go ahead on Thursday. And then if we do go ahead, obviously there won't be a Saturday announcement. But if we don't, then I will also send a message on Saturday morning. Okay? All right, guys. I look forward to actually I am looking forward to being able to do the workshop with you. Oh, the other thing that I did not put here is if you're going to be creating more than what you need, you probably will need a sprayer bottle and one of those pump bottles. Okay, so you can store the extras of what you're going to be making. If you're going to use all of them straight away, then you don't need the containers, but it's always safe to have the containers there. Okay, outside what I've written here, which is bowl, boiling water, and strainer. Okay, all right. So I hope you enjoyed the talk today, and I hope I was actually able to share with you something that you did not know already, because I always want to have been able to share information that you don't know, that you didn't have previously. We talked about how something growing quietly in your garden, beautifully in your garden, actually can support you gently and intelligently. That the essence of everyday herbalism is not about complexity, not about overconsumption, not about expensive solutions, but about relationships, creating the relationship with the plants around you, being observant and being respectful of the amazing constituents and properties that these plants actually have. So if something in today's session actually resonated with you, please do share the video with others. Please do let me know on the comment section. And if you want to keep learning, if you want to deepen your understanding of plants, energetics, practical herbal wisdom, I invite you to join us inside the Michelle Jones Coaching Group on Facebook. This is my private Facebook group. That is where we continue the conversation. That is where we integrate what we learn. That's where we practice responsibly. And if you're watching here on YouTube, please do subscribe to Michelle T. Jones and follow the rest of Everyday Herbalism from my Fiji home, which happens every month, except for this episode, which is happening twice and has encroached into March. So each month, we will explore another plant, another story, another layer of plant intelligence. So please look forward to that. And I hope you prepare what you need for our workshop, okay? Because I want you guys to actually be able to experience the amazing benefits of the hibiscus. So to everyone, Pinakabakalevu, thank you very much for joining me today. And I do hope you enjoyed that. And I will see you again on our next episode. I'm going to stop this because I can't see comments while this is playing. So I am going